Hey everyone, Nathan from Arms and Armor here. I want to talk to you today about pole hammers or pole axes, and we're going to be using one of the Arms and Armor weapons as an example here to think about them. First of all, in a lot of medieval sources, especially fight books like Fiore de Liberi's Flower of Battle, when they say axes as a knightly weapon, what they are generally referring to as a wide range of pole arms with some kind of a cutting or percussive surface on it. So if it says axe, it's not necessarily just an axe. Right? If you look at the axe in armor section in Fiore's Flower of Battle, you'll see that the weapon he's using looks a lot like this. Simplified. This is a fancy version, but it's essentially a hammer with a spike and a thrusting tip on it. These weapons were a knightly weapon for sure, right? This is for armored combat. You wouldn't really want to fight with one of these if you weren't in armor, and it would be a dumb weapon to use against people who didn't have any armor unless they were just standing there, right? You'd be better off using a spear or even a quarterstaff against unarmored opponents than this, right? So this hammer is about 57 inches long. It weighs just under 5 pounds. It's a big, solid weapon. And they were used for duels between armored knights, right? Single combat, and in tournaments. Now, these seem like a pretty dangerous weapon to use in tournaments, and they were, right? When these tournaments were having, there's a significant danger of injury and death, and these were certainly crafted to be a serious danger to people in armor, right? Fiore writes that thrusting with this point could go through a cuirass, and hitting someone with the hammer or the spike in the head would likely kill them. And so they're a really specialized weapon, right, for armored combat. You can see here on this example that the spike has a little face of a dude on it, some kind of a dragon or something, I'm not sure, and a three-pronged hammer on the back. Both the three-pronged hammer and the spike serve to concentrate the force from a strike or a blow with this hammer into a small area. You do that because you're trying to destroy armor with it. Right? This is based on an extant example, an Italian hammer from the 15th century that's in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. We've reproduced it quite closely here. The spike and hammer is all cast as a single piece, and then the langets are wrapped and riveted through the ash haft. This particular one doesn't have a butt cap, right? This weapon didn't. Some period hammers had butt caps or spikes. Not all of them did. Right? It's an optional thing. This one doesn't. If you want to order it and want a custom butt spike, we can put one on there for you. And in the video today, I'm going to show you some of the basic techniques for using this weapon out of Fiore's text. We'll smash a pumpkin and some boards, because that's always fun. Right, stay tuned. Alright, here's our basic setup for some smash testing. We have a simple little back plate here. It's made out of 16 gauge mild steel. You can see that we already used it to test the Gothic flail, but it's in still good enough condition to smash it a little more. It is tied onto a stump. So here we go. Alright, now I'm going to strike with the beak from the Lady's Guard or the Queen's Guard, which Fiore says It's a powerful strike. Oh yeah, that made a big hole through it. Let's try again. Yeah, we're getting some penetration there. Alright, now I'm going to strike with the hammer side from the guard Fiore calls True Cross. Wow, that utterly deformed the entire plate. I can also strike from the long tail down here. It's a good strike. Fiore also suggests that we should strike to the face using the point, targeting his visor, if it's open or closed. So I'm going to do that from the boar's tooth, or the middle iron cross. So down. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Ew. And then in one of the plays, we'll strike down at the top of the head, a blow that he says will surely kill. Which I'd say he's pretty much right about that. Now, one of the important things about fighting with this weapon that we see from the manuals is that it's primarily for single combat. Right? This isn't really a weapon of war quite so widely. It's a dueling weapon primarily in armor. And that means you have to use it defensively as well as offensively. Right? You're not just running into a crowd like in a movie doing these big Hail Mary swings, because if you hold it way up like this and run in to smash someone, you're going to eat it. Right? They're going to put it right in your face. So these different guards are ways of protecting yourself so that when someone strikes, you can catch their blow, and hit them with the butt, you can hit them with the hammer, right? You can be here, they strike at you, you hit their hammer to the ground, and then thrust to them. Right? It's a complex fighting system that has a lot in common with the longsword. No surprise, since it's the same fencing masters who are writing about both. All right, so I just want to give you a close-up of what happened here. So up here, these are the first two strikes I did with the beak of the weapon, the spike. Around here is where I hit it with the triple hammer, which deformed the entire plate. This is the last stroke I did from the long tail that punched right through. These guys down here, this one and this one, are both strikes with the top spike that I did initially. So, pretty devastating. Our poor friend the pumpkin, Don, didn't go well. Alright, here's a little after action. So here is the hammer covered with some pumpkin gore. So I hit it with the top spike, with the hammer, and with the beak of the weapon. Held up just fine. It's a heavy-duty piece of equipment. The ash handle, it's really comfortable in the hands when hitting these fairly unforgiving targets, and these langets give it a lot of support for its intended use. Now, I've heard people ask, is it possible to break these things? Of course, it's possible. It was possible to break any kind of weapon that you were using in period during these kinds of duels or mock battles. Essentially, weapons broke. Right? We expect that to happen with lances. Right? We hear about lances being shattered all the time. Frankly, if you hit your opponent knight so hard with your hammer that your hammer shattered, it would be a mic drop moment as you drop the splinters and walk away full of puissance. Right? It's the chivalric way. But that's not something that I would typically expect to happen. If you go around smashing trees and rocks, you're going to ruin your weapon. Hey, buddy. But as you can see, for intended uses, these things hold up great.